Yo guys, what's going on? It's Mixed by Jocelyn here, and this video we're going to be breaking down exactly how I mix Clue's record Miley Cyrus. It's out now on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, all those good ones. So if you want to go and give that a listen, that's cool. In this video, we're going to be going really into depth on the drums and the instrumental, and then I'll be doing a second part on Twitch on Thursday, where I break down more about the vocals and things like that. If you want to watch that, you can follow me on Twitch, Mixed by Jocelyn. If you have any other questions, you can get me on Instagram, Mixed by Jocelyn. Also, you can DM me directly. I'll happily reply to everyone's messages. Also, yeah, if you like the video, please give it a like. If you really liked it, subscribe. That really helps. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Safe. Let me know what you think. Right, so first things first. So when mixing a song, even if it's your own record, the best way to approach it, I would say, like, is starting from a clean plate. So like, get your record and bounce all the stems down, and start with a new project, because it's easy to kind of like mix as you go along, and then you kind of get lost in the source and it's never completed. So I personally, I do this even with my own records. When I'm making tunes, I will bounce it and start the mix from scratch. So these are the stems I got sent from Clue. Firstly, we'll put the reference in. Or as well, if you're mixing like on a professional level and you're mixing for someone else, always get a reference. Like I tend not to even like look at the tune until I have a reference, because this is how they want to hear the song. You know what I mean? This is how they've built it. Obviously, you know, you want to take it in your own direction, but you don't want to take it so left that like you send them the first mix and they're like, bruv, like, what's going on here? So always make sure you got a reference. Once you got the reference in, I'm gonna like organize the project first, get all the files in. These are the instrumentals, so all the separate stems. Get the stems in there, just drag and click. It's easy. That's why I like Logic. It's just so intuitive. It makes a lot of sense when doing it. Make sure everything's at the beginning, and we're gonna go through these, and I'm gonna grab. We're gonna go and highlight all of the drums. So anything that resembles a drum, hit, percussion, anything like that, I'm gonna grab, and we're gonna put into a folder. Okay, so that looks like everything for now. There might be some extras that I've missed, but we can add them in later. So yeah, we go. Let me do that again. Got to remember this. So right click, you go down to create stack, and then make sure it's a summing stack. Basically, a folder stack, it puts things into a folder, it keeps it neat and tidy. A summing stack will actually allow you to edit everything as a whole and move things up and down in the mix. Like, so once we've got like the vibe of the drums, and then we're mixing the melodies and whatever, and we think, oh, maybe the drums need a little bit of volume or a little bit less volume, we don't have to like go in and lower them all down individually. Like, we can take it as a group now and affect it. Or if like we want to like add an overall compression or something like that, we can apply it straight to the thing rather than like creating a separate bus or whatever. So summing stack, really good. Create that, puts it all into things. Labeling's key here. So drums, I always use capitals just because I'm blind and I like it to, you know, stand out. Drag that to the top. That's what we're going to start with, and then we go in here and then we'll organize this further later, but it's just so we can kind of like keep the project clean right now, because the best thing when it comes to like mixing is you can get overwhelmed so quickly. So the quicker you kind of like organize your project and you know where everything is and everything's like labeled properly and in the right positions, the easier you'll be able to like navigate through the mix and get to the other side. Because that's a very big point why it's for all of that, because I know there's a producer in here that wants to like start learning more about the mixing. Always bounce down your stuff and start again, because you as you produce, I know what it's like, you add things here and there and there, the projects get so messy, like it's really hard to like keep on top of everything. So yeah, and then here, this is a quick one. So if you want to highlight everything in a row and there's no gaps in between what you're highlighting, you can click the top one and then press shift, click to the bottom, and it will highlight all of them. It's time saver, that one. Again, right click, create stack, summon, we're gonna go. And then I just abbreviate intros, but instrumentals is my personal abbreviation. And then collapse that. Right, once we've got these done, we are gonna go in and organize them. X shortcut to get your mixing console up. And I highlight all of them and I drag them all. We're gonna start zeroing them all off. Hence why we get the reference, because we don't want a reference from the stems, because the stems are going to be messy all over the place. No one, like, it's impossible to really hear what the producer or the artist wanted from the stems, because when people bounce stems, normally they bounce it flat and level, so it's no longer representing what they actually had in their project. So you always get the reference here. We've got the reference here. I'm going to drag this down because it looks like, to me, it's got like a limiter on it. Yeah, it does. So it's going to be loud. So I drag it down. I mix very quietly. You'll hear that through this. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a listen to the track. And we're going to, whilst we do that, we're going to get the BPM. So I'm going to go.
Put them on the screen like flyers.
Go meter in, BPM counter.
Break for your town like virus.
Whilst it's kind of gauging it, let's listen to the track, get a feel for it.
I know killers and gliders, man do it in sliders. Put them on the screen like flyers. I'm out here, I still need drivers. Man spread for your town like virus. Miley Cyrus, 50s, 20s and 10s, trying to make amends, but I swear I hate fivers. Why man talking about trap? You made your money off music. Let's get straight to the facts. Don't confuse it. Man talk streets then rap. Looking real stupid. How come you never had man's back? Making excuses. I got mine off muscle and packs. The gang been doing up laps. I never gave man a round of applause, but I gave man pats on their back. Them man just heavy with chat. I am not man's age, I'm a dad's. I can't wait till I get man back. I used to put man at you in cabs. Man did voluntary and try act, man pats on their back. Them man just heavy with chat. I am not man's age, I'm a dad's. I can't wait till I get man back. I used to put man at you in cabs. Man did voluntary.
Reason why we do that is because obviously, you know, it's gridded, like that's saying exactly what that is. That's 71 or 142 BPM. Sorry, I'll keep trying to pause when I talk. I did realize that there's a tool that I can use to kind of like duck the audio, but I didn't want to do that. But thank you for pointing that out. The key to, you know, making sure using the click once you've got the BPM in is, again, especially in UK hip hop, this is a big thing in UK hip hop and American hip hop, but a lot of producers use Fruity Loops. Now when they bounce stuff from Fruity Loops, there's like a rendering part to it, and it delays it by like, I don't know, like it's like a millisecond or something like that. And so it will count that as the right BPM, but grid wise it won't be in sync. So you got to listen to it, make sure the BPM's in. If it's still slightly out, it will be that BPM that Logic's saying it is, but you'll have to go to the front of the track and just trim off that little bit of silence at the beginning of the audio and then lock it in. That is something that happens so much when people are tracking, and then it throws off all the records, and it's a madness trying to get things in time after that. So once that's done, here we got this, we can get rid of this. This is just confusing things. So we got that, we got the BPM, this is counted. I've listened to the track, so we don't need to actually go through it all now. And obviously the track's online for you to listen to now. But if I was mixing this from start, I would listen to this from start to finish, probably a few times just to catch the vibe. Once we've done this, so we got this is the instrumental in. Sometimes I might mix the instrumental before I even put the vocals in, because I actually tend not to touch the vocals at all. But these are the vocals here, we're going to drag these in quickly. I don't tend to touch the vocals until I've got like the beat feeling perfect, do you know what I mean? And then I can blend the instrumental in after, the vocals in after. This is just another reference, it's the beat. Because they probably recorded it to a 2-track when they tracked the instrumental, and then bounced it out and then gave me the stems separately. Normally that's what happens. They don't record in the same project as the beat stems. And we're going to organize this so it looks like it's recorded quite hot. There's not that many vocals. There's normally a lot more vocals than this. So there's 2 verse sections. This looks like it's the hook. Then we've got ad-libs. We've got an intro section, and then we've got some like low stabby bits here for this bridge section, it looks like there. So we're going to leave it in that organized for now. Again, shift from the top, click to the bottom, highlights everything. And then we go create this track in there. Yeah, and then we're going to go vocals. Now, if this was like a bigger project and there was like numerous people on the song, I would give them all their own individuals sections, or even if it was like, you know, a much bigger produced song with loads of like layering and stuff, I would then go as far to like break it down and to like hook, verse, bridge, things like that. But because this has like only a few stems for the vocals, like this isn't that many in comparison to like other tracks that we do, I'll just keep them in one, just to like, again, keep the project as simple as it can, make sure I know where everything is, I can grab stuff when I need to. So yeah, we're gonna zero them off. Right, now we're gonna start this. So once that's done, we've got this, everything's in the right position, and we're gonna save it. Now we've got a project to save. I'm gonna save it into my own thing. Again, it's really important that you do this. Like, it's boring, like, and people will say, oh yeah, I do it, I've got sick file management. Most of the time people actually don't, and that's when shit gets lost. And if you're getting into the engineering game and you lose a client's file that they've paid for, mate, you're in trouble. So, you know, make sure from start to finish you're going in. Do you know what I mean? So for whatever reason they named, I think that was the name of the beat, but we're gonna delete that and then just go call this live mix. Save that. All right, wait for all the files to save. Yeah, again, if you just join in, put your name in the comment, say hi, chat. I'm trying to get a little chat going. Any kind of, like, if you're like, oh, what did you say? Repeat that, anything like that, or elaborate on that a bit more, just put it in the comments. I'll happily go through it. I'm constantly checking the comments. So yeah. Yeah, man. I'm gonna try and like get some more shit for my background as well, make it a bit more interesting. Like them gamers, gonna get some LEDs. You know what I mean? Some nano leaves. Yeah, but I don't know. It's still got Dead Capri in that. But yeah, this again, a lot of this stuff is kind of repetitive and it's boring, but it's so key to it. And once you just get it like it's second nature, then it just makes life so much easier, and you can get down to the real nitty gritty of what it is to like mix stuff. So yeah, just like, you know, bear that in mind. What we're going to be concentrating on today is purely in the box mixing as well, because obviously right now I can't really go into depth with like using outboard gear. Maybe one day in the future where I can get a couple other mics and I can get stuff like looked at, do you know what I mean, so you can actually see what I'm doing on my mixing console or some of my outboard gear. But today we're just going to focus on mixing records in the box. I think this record I did do entirely in the box as well, which is another reason why it's a good choice. So right, so now once we've done this, we're going to organize it. We're going to get, I always start with the kicks first and then snares. You know, when we're mixing drums and we're mixing anything, it's kind of like the foundations of a house. Do you know what I mean? Start from the basis and work your way up. So like the subby stuff, the drums is the rhythm, the shit that glues the track together, and then kind of adding like the melodies and the vocals and stuff like that after. Another reason why it's good to always start from the beginning, and not just like adding shit later on. Right, I'm not sure what this is, but I'm going to put this before the hats, just because I like to leave the hats until last, because they're floaty. Cool. So once we've done that, we're going to get a little bit of the track and we're going to loop it. This top bar here is your loop section. A lot of people know this, but again, you know, I'm just going to try and cover all bases. So get a little bit of the loop. This has got a little bit of everything in it, so we can kind of focus on this section of the track to build the vibe, and then play through in to see if there's any kind of like odd transitions or anything that we need to automate. Once we've got that going, I'm not going to use the click anymore because I don't need to, because I know it's bang on in time. I'm going to drag this kick up. Now, again, I know some engineers like to use like decibels and that. I kind of just go on feel. They're like, oh, I want my kick to sit at 6 dB, all this stuff. You know, that has its benefits, but, you know, right now we're just going on feel, and if it gets too hot, we pull it down. So first things first, I'll grab an EQ. For the sake of this video, I'm going to try and use plugins that everyone has access to, or if not, like, are very similar to things that they would have access to. So grab the EQ, listen to this. Let me know if everyone can hear the audio okay as well. I don't want this bit of low end here. I don't really feel like that's adding anything to it. I might add it back in later, depending on like where I am with it. But firstly, I'm going to get a little peak here, really high cut, and I'm going to swoop across this bit here. And we're listening for like the real standout note of the kick, whatever pops out at you. Right, I'm feeling around 68, 70, around that mark. So then I'll drag it right back down and I'll widen it and just give it a little bit more transient and just let that pop through. Now, later on, I might come back and I might fuck with the mids a little bit more in the kick if I feel like it needs to cut through the mix a bit more. Give it another pocket of frequency to like help it boost through normally the bass. But to me, that sounds good right there. I'm not going to take too much high out because it has this kind of like little digital click to it that I quite like. And then from here, I'm going to go straight. I'm not going to put a compression directly on the mix, on the kick. I'm going to go straight to a parallel compression. I don't really tend to like to put compression directly on my drums because I feel like it changes the sounds a lot. And a lot of these kind of hip-hoppy dance, you know, things that are like processed already. They've already got compression, EQ and stuff like that added on already, so it's kind of it doesn't need it as much. Like it probably already has like been through like 3 compressors before, you know, through the time it got to the producer, and then the producer put his own compression on it. So I tried to stay away from it because they've got the sound that they want. It sounds how they like it. I don't want to change it too much with putting my own compression on it. But what I want is I want to generate punch behind the kick. So I'll go and create a parallel compression. Now the way we do that is we go down to these buses here. You go bus. I'm clicking bus 4, which is just the one that's available, the closest one. And then it pops up here on the side. Now this is a bus channel. Nothing's being sent to it at the moment, but we're going to put a compressor on it. My favorite compressor, and I'm going to use it even though some of you might not have it, but it's very similar. You can use it very similar to a lot of other compressors, but it's my go-to when it comes to parallel compression, especially. And it is the Pro C2, which is by FabFilter. It's a wicked compressor. It's very clean. It doesn't add much to it. It just does what it's supposed to do. And there's a nice preset, parallel compression preset that I've kind of tweaked and adjusted. But they have their own, and you can use this. And then we're going to drag this in, send a bit of signal to it, and you'll hear straight away the kick starts to get lift and more presence is added to it straight away. So it's kind of nice there. I might just quicken the attack slightly. You can hear it really hitting there. I might loosen that later just in case it feels too punchy, but we'll leave that for now. And I'm gonna go post fader because I don't want it to like add much more volume. I just want it to add the punch. I want to hear the compression, not like anything more than that. So then we're gonna add the snare in, the first snare. With tracks like this, the kick is kind of like the dominant force in it. Like I know a lot of hip hop tracks tend to have the snare really far forward, but I feel like UK drill and trap and grime and stuff like, they really want to hear the kick over everything else. So you can see here we're already getting kind of hot, but I'll adjust this as we go along. I'm going to take out all the low end of this snare, and I'm going to focus on this mid section and try to find like a little pocket for it to boost. Because I don't want it to sound muddy, but I want to snap. Yeah, I like that. 4K there. Again, we adjust as we go along. This is kind of like just catching the initial vibe. Trying not to go too slow with it, like even when I'm mixing, like in general, because you can quickly lose a vibe. Do you know what I mean? I'm gonna add a bit of this parallel, this same parallel. Give that snap. We're getting a bit warm, so I just go here. I keep adjusting this, pulling it down, pull everything down at once, and then you contain the mix, but at a lower volume. Let me know if it gets too low for you guys as well, and I can adjust it. You guys will probably need to adapt your volume or whatever you're listening to whilst I'm doing this, because it's going to go up and down, it's going to fluctuate. So we're going to add this other snare. So this looks like it's backing it up. I'm going to listen to this separately, so it's more of a clap. So it's doing the same thing, and it's just adding a different texture underneath. So I'm going to keep it lower because I feel like that's what the guy, the producer, intended for the record. Yeah, and taking a lot of this off, because what we want to do is we want to, these first stages, we want to really sculpt it. We want to get rid of all of the excess crap that isn't adding anything to the record, to save as much volume as we can at the back end of the mix. I can see there that's already like poking through with the analyzer, so I'm just going to boost that just a little bit, help it translate. We're going to get add a bit more of this parallel. Okay, we've got these filler snares here. Again, they're not really doing much, they're just adding like a bit of like punch to that particular thing. Some of this stuff I might even take out, depending on what it's doing to the mix. But this is like, I'm adding a little bit higher tones to it, giving it its own space to like breathe. Add this parallel to it as well. Okay, cool. Yeah. Now you can see the snares are kind of like dynamically changing as they're going through. I think this is what the producer is intending to do with it. And then we've got this. This is kind of like the rhythm clap. Okay, this is very drilly. This style. It's like almost uses like a hi-hat. So I'm gonna give it that high pocket. Now this is where you can be a bit creative with the mix. Like sometimes I use these style hats. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry, the screen's blocking it. Yeah, thank you. Well pointed out. I'll do that. Let me have a look at the screen. So if I bring it here. Okay, cool. Right, I'll make sure that, I'll bear that in mind. Cheers. Again, because I'm just looking at this screen, I've never done this before. I forget that I've got all this other crap in the way, like my face. But yeah, so what I was saying with these claps is, you know, you could be a bit experimental here. And, you know, something that I might put on this, I'm not sure if I did for this final mix, but we'll do it for this case just for like demonstration. I might put like a tremolo on it and make it flutter between the two, not that wide, but very subtly, you know, like put it like 30 and maybe leave it at like a 102, give it a little bit more. So now it kind of just like skips between, and we're starting to add width and dynamic to the track that wasn't there originally. And then this is another one that's doing another vibe. We can leave this central, so now we're really creating some kind of like fluttery effects. This one's very subtle. Sorry, let me pause. So I've got to remember to keep doing that. Guys, just nudge me in the comments if I forget, because I'm just going to get in the zone with it, and like, you know, and you guys aren't going to get the best video quality. Oh, no, wrong one. Just adding a bit of a parallel to this. It's quite quiet. I just want it to kind of like hit a little bit harder. You can hear it. It's coming like directly in the center. It's doing a very similar pattern to what the other one's doing, just slightly at different times. These ones the producer's already panned, so he's trying to create space himself in the drums. So again, I'm taking all the low end off. That's like the most important thing with these first stage EQs. I'm gonna put this. I try to avoid 800 hertz at the beginning, especially when I'm working on the vocals, because 800 hertz with a male vocal especially is like where it's like the main body of the vocal, like where the clarity cuts through a lot, is like 800 hertz. So you want it to kind of like really, you want to like try and like leave that space available for when the vocal comes in. That's when you know like when you're doing a mix and you're like, oh, the vocal is sitting on top of the beat, like I can't get it to blend, or it's sitting underneath the beat, I can't get it to blend. Like, it's because you're not creating the pocket in the instrumental for the vocal to blend in, because like there isn't frequency there, so it just sounds like it's sitting on top or it's sitting below. You need to sculpt it out and cut it in, and so you sit there, you know, and really like make the most of that frequency space, because that is the most important thing, you know, when it comes to these tracks. So you need to give it the space to be in the track. So this is a little percussion hit. It's already been panned, so I'm not going to fuck with it too much. It's been processed, I can hear it. I'm going to give it a little bit high, like around like 3K, probably 3K. I wanted just to poke for a little bit more, because it's like a slightly different sounding percussion hit to what we've heard so far. Yeah, that. See, parallel compression, lifesaver, man. It really just helps push things forward. Yeah, that's a nice hit. And then we've got to hit another hit here. I don't know what this is. Okay. Solo that so you can hear it. So it's just another little wood block. Just another vibey hit. I'm probably going to take a little bit more low end off that. Yeah, I like that. Again, you know, it's all about gut feeling. Don't spend too much time on it at the beginning. Don't procrastinate too much on sounds. You know, the producer, artist, whatever, has picked these sounds because they like the way they sound already. Your job is just to kind of like put that forward. R&B Babyface or an Apollo Twin. Just out of like, oh, it's Modulist. Didn't even see you there. Well, you know what I'm gonna say, Modulist. Come on, you already know what I'm gonna go for. I'm gonna go for the Babyface. You know, I like the R&B. I like the R&B stuff. But if you're gonna go for the Apollo, I'd go for the rackable one. Spend the money and get, because the difference between the two is better. Like if you get the Apollo, get like the rackable one with like a load of memory for your plugins, and are you going to buy those plugins? Do you know what I mean? Are you going to invest into their, you know, their business, their plugins? Because in that case, then it's well worth it. But if you're like looking for like just a really nice preamp, something not too expensive, you can carry it around the place, stick it in your bag, you're good to go. Babyface all the way. I love the Babyface. I had it for years. Right, now we're adding these hats. These hats are a little bit bassy, which sounds odd to describe for a hat, but they're not high range like a lot of hats. So I'm gonna actually like boost the highs quite a lot, because I want this to cut through. bring it down a little bit. These hats are panned, so they're going to be moving all over the place. Again, just like cut the bass straight out. We don't even need to hear it. These are a bit higher. There's like a little bit of 2K going on here, but again, we're going to focus on the high end. There's like the glisten, the sheen. Yeah, those ones are good. Those ones are good. Worth the money. But I don't know too much about these desktop Apollos. I ain't really ever used it. I don't know how powerful they are, and like, you know, if they're using the same preamps, because they're quite a lot cheaper, so I don't know like where they're getting their profit from. But I think Pro might have one, Modulist. If you want to ask him, I'm sure he might. Okay, cool. So now we kind of got like the rough drums set up, like we're hearing it. It's pushing a little bit, so we're gonna just duck this down a little bit, make room. But this is the vibe, nice punchy, good bit of space. I'm feeling it. We're gonna start moving on and adding some of these other instruments. So we're gonna organize this quickly. 808 straight away. Look for wherever this main synth is. This is the main synth. I can see this. This is the B line. So the under melody, and then there's just loads of these little add-on sections. So we'll do the pads after. Right, and then just some like add-on bits. So where I'm gonna go first, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna look at my kick. So look here what this. Sorry, I'm just trying to read these messages as we go. Yeah, obviously the rackable ones, you know, they're like industry standard at the moment. So like if you've got one of them, you're good to go. But like the desktop ones, I don't know too much about. I've had a desktop Babyface RME and I loved it. And the preamps are some of the best I've used. I love them. And the Fireface is really good as well. So yeah, but that's the point. The Apollo, cool plugins. So if you're willing to invest into that kind of like universe and like start spending the money, you know, cool, let's go. But it's one of them things, isn't it? It's like, it's preference. You know, I don't know if you remember, but you should know, Oscar, because like you definitely heard my Babyface. But the Apollo, again, it's like, that is kind of moved away. It's like, that is like industry standard. If you're gonna have a good interface, that's kind of like the way that most people go. So what I was saying here, so now we're going to blend the bass line, the 808, into the drums. And I think I want to look at first, I also want to remind myself of where I put the point of the kick. So the point of the kick is at 68 Hertz is where I felt like it was really punching through. Now that's something, we're going to remember this, because later on when we're pushing this bass up, we might need to EQ and create a pocket for the kick to come through, because you know, essentially what we're doing, we've got these lovely drums, everything's going in, and now what we're doing is over the bottom end, we're just going to whack a blanket over it. So we need to create holes for the drums to come through and translate through the bass. Okay, cool. I'm going to cut this very low end out. Let me move this over. And I'm going to cut a lot of this high end out. Creating space, just straight away. Boom, boom. I'm getting rid of those frequencies. They're not there. I'm not hearing them. They don't need to be there. Now I'm going to get this point really thin. And we're going to find this. Just remind myself of the frequency quickly. 68, yeah, 68. Right, we're going to get 68. I'm cutting that out. Right, that's gone now. So that, like, at least that little bit of the frequency in the kick is going to cut through, and we're going to maintain the punch. Later on, if we still feel like the bass isn't vibing enough and gluing enough with the kick, we can start to think about using side chain methods and things like that. Now I'm going to add a little bass because I just feel like this bass is a little bit uncontrolled. Oh, I'm on the kick. Excuse me. Back on the 808. Right, we're here. Okay. I'm using the C2 again. Again, it's nice, it's clear. It's not adding too much. Right, I'm using a light compression. I kind of like where that is. I want the attack to be fast and the release to be a bit fast as well. I just want it to kind of like encapsulate it and then let it vibe. And I'm going to give it a little bit more wet just to make up for the gain reduction. Okay, cool. Okay, so we've got a nice clear, you can hear all of the instruments, you can hear the bass, everything's kind of gluing together. I'm going to go back and add stuff to this, but right now I'm just trying to get the initial mix going. So some nice low strings, cello, sub bass. Right, I'm gonna get rid of a lot of this sub though, because I want that to be left for my 808. You know what I mean? I want my track to fill the space. I want everything to be heard. So I'm not gonna take away from it. So I'm taking a lot of this bass away, and I'm gonna push around 400, give it that, and then I'm gonna give it another push around 200, just to get the air of the strings in as well. I'm going to cut out a lot of this bass at the higher frequencies. Let me know if you guys can hear me alright over the when I'm playing the beats. I know earlier someone said that they couldn't really hear me when I was playing the instrumentals. I'll try and remember to like pause, but obviously we're mixing, I'm talking, I'm just trying to create a vibe. I can put up the microphone a little bit, but I don't want to like burst off of anyone's eardrums. Yeah. So let me just listen. Yeah, that's all there. Okay, cool. So what have we got here? Right, so this next one, again, it's like things that bounce weird. So this is quite low, but I feel like this is going to be a key component in the mix. So I'm gonna bring this in now. Yeah, my level sounds good. Thank you. Cool. Okay, cool. So this is kind of like one of the main elements of this track. Is this kind of like really eerie, spooky pad that the producer added. So we're gonna focus on this. Again, creating space, cutting everything out straight away. All of this stuff, super repetitive, but it's so important to create an overall vibe. Okay, cool. It sounds quite boring and unappealing right now, so I'm going to add a bit of compression, try and tighten up these notes a little bit. I'm going to put really fast release, so it's kind of, now we can hear the wobble. Because the compression is drawing out the wobble and the sci-fi-ness of that pad. It sounds a bit mono though, so there's a couple ways. When you're doing mixes, things like this is the key part of it. I want this to be really wide in the mix. So again, it's not, I'm not battling later on with the vocal on top of this main thing. I want both to be heard just as clear. So, you know, my go-to move is to like push this outwards and leave the center for the vocals. So I'm going to push this synth out, and there's a few different ways you can do that. You know, there's a quick way of doing it, but it can cause phasing issues later on. And you can use if you go down to imaging, you can use a stereo spreader. When you're using a stereo spreader, just bear in mind like where you're spreading it and like the frequencies that you're spreading, because you can cause like phasing, and then like it can translate badly to like other speakers and stuff like that. So just kind of like be cautious of that. Yeah, the sci-fi-ness. Yeah, people come up with crazy stuff like Modulus will tell you we work with one artist, and he'll know exactly who it is when I say this. His main thing is like, oh, make me sound more rock starry. You know, people have the maddest things for describing music in it, but it's just whatever comes to your head, colors, fucking whatever. Like, as long as you kind of get the vibe and we understand each other, it's a good thing. But yes, it's a stereo spreader. I do use it, but one thing I use a bit more at the moment is I use mid-side EQs to create width. So if I pull one up, I'm gonna keep using the FabFilter ones. There are other EQs that do this, but the FabFilter one's fantastic. There's a newer version now. There's like a Q3. I haven't upgraded to that one yet. But if we go here, so this is the EQ, stereo, like normal looking EQ. And then when I grab it, you know, you get all the tools and stuff. But if you go down to this little section here, and you go to channel mode, and you switch it from left to right to mids to sides. Now when we EQ, it's going to give me two options here. So this is central, a blend of the both. And if I click this suddenly will then only EQ the mid of that frequency. Oh, does it? I use this one. But if Logic has one, use it. Do you know what I mean? I'll look into it and see what it's saying myself. But yeah, so now I'm only EQing the mid of whatever that frequency is. So that frequency will still be there around the sides. And then vice versa with the sides here. So now I'm EQing the sides, I'm boosting or cutting away from the sides, and it's staying in the frequency wherever I keep it. So, you know, right here I'm boosting the sides at 400, but it's gonna stay the same in the mids, or I can take it out from the sides and it will stay in the mids. So yeah, anyway, if I play this thing again, we get sides here. You can hear straight away, already wider. Now I've boosted 6 dB, I'll turn it off. Central. Obviously it's adding volume because it's adding volume to the sides, but we can counteract that and remove it from the mids a little bit. So then add it again, wide, take away, central, wide, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna widen the band a little bit, and I'm gonna push it over slightly. Because I don't want I want more of the higher frequencies to be boosted than the mids. And then we can get another EQ in the mids this time, and just kind of like, not as much, but just take a little bit away from the mids. Now I'm creating a pocket later on for the vocals. It's wide, it's floating around this central part, it's not really sitting in the middle, and it's going to give us a nice space to add the vocal later on. Right, this is another drum, so I did say we might miss these. So we're going to add this back up into here. No dramas if this stuff happens, just throw it into the drum mix. I'm going to mix this in. I'm going to mute the instrumental quickly. Okay, cool. So it's just a little like overall vibe. It's a bit bassy. I'm going to remove these sub basses. I'm going to add just a touch on this bit because I can see that it's like playing a little, yeah, top note. Okay, cool. I like the positioning of that. Okay, cool. Yeah, so That's a really good trick though when it comes to engineering, is going that one step further, not just using an EQ as a normal EQ, like using the mid-side EQs, using it as a way to widen things. Like when people say, using EQs to widen and using reverbs and delays, it's not a case of just slapping whatever on. You actually have to understand how to use that tool and how to create width with it. So like in a delay point, I'm not going to put a 1/4 delay over a guy's vocal on a ping pong effect and expect it to work as a widening tool. The way to do something like that would be to create a much faster delay with a much smaller release, and then having it ping ponging so you can't even really hear it. It's not audible. It's just really subtly, quickly adding a little bit of the vocal to each headphone, creating a little bit more space. So it's good to understand these tools. Like I will talk about it more and more and more, like throughout, maybe not on this video, but as we go on. So because I'm gonna finish this up quite soon, and we're gonna pick up again on Thursday and continue this mix. But right now we're gonna push through. Okay, cool. So this is like a subtle, it's almost like an organ style thing. These are like one of the kind of things that I feel like, when producers say, oh, it's more to be felt than heard. This is to reinforce the sub. I'm gonna remove it up to there. Again, don't be scared. Like if it's picking up those frequencies, like don't be scared to remove them, because it will, it might take away from the particular instrument, but we're not mixing that one instrument, we're mixing the track, and if it adds to the whole, if it's not adding anything to the whole of the track, just remove it and allow other frequencies to take up that space and create more punch. So I'm just going to leave that there for the minute. I'm not even going to add any compression on it. It's just very subtly just like reinforcing the background. I'm gonna narrow our field of view right now. Focus on this. Okay, so here's something where we can kind of use a quick trick. So the producer's given us basically an identical sound. Now he might have done something different with it in his mix, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste what I've done here on this, but I'm going to remove the EQ. So now it's going to, for a split second of the song, barely noticeable, it's going to flutter in and out, but it's going to remind the brain of the width. It's going to trick you again to remembering how wide the song is, because it's going to go in and then it's going to go out again. See that? Direct and then out again. It's almost like it's almost like what people do with choruses, where they have multiple layers and they spread the hook. So when the hook comes in, the song's nice and wide, it's massive, it's big. And then when the verse comes in, it's narrow and direct and it's personal. That's what that is doing for this song, with that, just that little element, that like one little pad. Oh man, I really appreciate that, man. That means a lot. That's what I'm here to do, Like that really means a lot, man. I appreciate that, man. I was worried when I was first doing this that this is gonna be like, do you know what I mean? A bit of a lack one. But I feel like it's been vibing, and I really appreciate everyone's comments and jumping in and getting involved. It means a lot. On that note though, at that point, I'm gonna leave it here. So we've basically got halfway through the thing. We've only listened to, the last hour we've listened to the fucking, 10 seconds of a song. But on Thursday we'll finish up the instrumental mix and we'll start working on the vocals. But yeah, and as I said, you know, the mixing is all about, you know, being confident in it, taking away material, especially at the beginning stages, and then like towards the end adding on, just making sure that you're consistent with it and understanding like where you are in the mix. So, you know, I'll just play what we've got so far, a little last run through, just so we can hear a bit of dynamics. But yeah, I really appreciate everyone that's hooked in. Yeah, I'll be back Thursday, and we'll finish up the mix, and we'll start working on the vocals. For real, modulus, you know. So a good bit of punch. The drums are there, it's key and stuff like that. Oh man, I really appreciate that, bro. Thank you. The hits with the strings, it's all sounding good. Yeah. Right, guys, I really appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there for today. I'll be back on Thursday